27 degrees below zero in International Falls, Minnesota right now. Your heating bill this weekend? It could be the highest you have seen all winter. And I am not just talking about Minnesota. From Pittsburgh to Portland, Maine, from Buffalo to Boston, over 43 million Americans are waking up to extreme cold warnings this morning. The kind of cold that your grandparents used to tell you about. The kind that makes you wonder if your furnace can keep up. But here is what nobody is talking about yet. While you are bundling up in 3 layers just to check the mail in Pennsylvania, folks in Des Moines, Iowa are going to be walking around in shirt sleeves by Monday afternoon. 70 degrees. In February, in Iowa. And that is not a typo. Now I know what you are thinking. Crazy weather, right? But it gets stranger. Because by the time we get to minute 18 of today's forecast, I am going to show you exactly which city is going to see the most dramatic temperature swing in American history for this time of year. And I promise you, it is not where you think. Here is what you need to know in the next 25 minutes. First, I am going to walk you through this Arctic blast minute by minute, city by city. Because if you live anywhere from the Great Lakes to the Atlantic coast, your weekend plans might need to change. Then around minute 7, we're going to talk about this unprecedented warm surge that is building out west. And finally, toward the end, I am going to give you my honest assessment of what this means for the 3rd week of February, because the models are showing something that frankly has me concerned. But before we dive in, I need your help. Drop a comment right now telling me what city you are watching from, and I will do my best to give you a personalized forecast update in tomorrow's video. Seriously, take 5 seconds. Type your city name, because tomorrow morning, I want to answer your specific questions about what is coming your way. All right, let me tell you exactly when this cold hits your area. If you are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, you are at 25 degrees right now with light snow and ice fog. That temperature is going to drop to around 15 degrees by tomorrow morning. Buffalo, New York, same story. 25 degrees now, dropping into the teens overnight with dangerous wind chills approaching 10 below zero. Albany, New York, you are at 28 degrees now. By Sunday morning, you could wake up to readings near 20 degrees with wind chills closer to 5 below. Boston, Massachusetts, sitting at 26 degrees this evening. Your Saturday morning low will be around 19 degrees, and with the wind, it is going to feel like it is 5 below zero. Portland, Maine, you are at 19 degrees already. By tomorrow morning, some areas north of you could see actual air temperatures near 10 degrees with wind chills approaching 15 to 20 below. Now, I want to pause here for just a second because I have been doing this for a long time, and I have to tell you, this is not your typical February cold snap. The reason this one matters is the duration and the wind. See, you can handle cold. You have heated homes, warm coats, good furnaces, but when you add wind on top of already dangerous temperatures, that is when pipes freeze, that is when power lines come down from the weight of ice, that is when elderly folks especially need to be checking on each other. Rochester, New York, 24 degrees now, dropping to around 20 degrees by morning. Syracuse, at 24 degrees. You are looking at similar numbers, but here is what concerns me about your area specifically. You still have over a foot of snow on the ground from that massive storm last week. Now you are going to add blowing snow on top of that existing snowpack, and visibility on rural roads could drop to near zero in minutes. If you are driving anywhere tomorrow, please give yourself twice the normal amount of time. Let me move down into Pennsylvania. Philadelphia, you are at 28 degrees with light snow and ice fog right now. That is going to continue through the evening. By tomorrow morning, you are looking at temperatures in the low 20s with wind chills around 10 degrees. Reading, Pennsylvania, same situation. 26 degrees now with that ice fog making everything just slick and miserable. Allentown at 25 degrees, you have got light snow mixing in as well. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, you are at 25 degrees. Here is what I want you to know about your forecast. That cold air is going to settle in and just park itself over your region through Sunday. We are not talking about a quick shot of cold that moves through. This is an Arctic air mass that is going to sit and dominate your weather for the entire weekend. Saturday's high temperature might only reach 28 degrees, and that is if the sun comes out. Sunday could be even colder. Now, I mentioned earlier that I would tell you about something nobody is talking about yet. Here it is. While all of this is happening in the east, there is a complete pattern flip brewing out west. And it is not just warm. It is record-breaking warm. Let me explain what is happening. Great Falls, Montana, you are at 54 degrees right now. 54 degrees in February in Montana. And you know what? That is actually cool compared to where you are headed. By Monday afternoon, you could touch 70 degrees. I am going to say that again for folks who might have missed it. Great Falls, Montana, Monday, 70 degrees. That would shatter records. That would be the kind of temperature that makes national news. Billings, Montana, you are sitting pretty at 54 degrees this evening. Your weekend is going to be spectacular if you like mild weather. 50s tomorrow, potentially pushing toward the mid-60s on Sunday. Then Monday and Tuesday, we are talking about upper 60s to near 70. For reference, your normal high for early February is right around 37 degrees. You are going to be running 30 degrees above normal. That is not a warm spell. That is a heat wave. Bismarck, North Dakota, 32 degrees now. I know that feels cold to you after the brutal temperatures you have had recently, but watch this. Tomorrow, you climb into the low 40s. Sunday, upper 40s. Monday, you could hit 60 degrees. Bismarck, 60 degrees. In February. When was the last time you went outside in a light jacket in early February? Let me jump down to the Dakotas and the Plains because this is where things get really interesting. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, you are at 33 degrees right now. Your weekend warms up nicely. Saturday brings you into the low 40s. Sunday into the upper 40s. But Monday, here is where it gets wild. Temperatures could surge into the low 60s, possibly even touching 65 degrees. That is 40 degrees above your normal high temperature for this date. Rapid City, South Dakota, you are at 44 degrees. Your forecast is similar, but even more extreme. You could be looking at upper 60s by Monday and Tuesday. Pierre, South Dakota, at 33 degrees now. You are going to see one of the most dramatic warm-ups in the entire country. Monday's high could reach 68 degrees. Let that sink in. 68 degrees in South Dakota in the first week of February. Now, I want to take a moment here to talk about what this means, because I know some of you are sitting there thinking, well, this is climate change, right? And look, I am a meteorologist, not a climate scientist, but I can tell you this. These kinds of temperature extremes, these wild swings, they are becoming more common. Whether that is part of a long-term trend or just a particularly active pattern year, I will leave to others to debate. What I can tell you is that this is unusual even by modern standards. Fargo, North Dakota. You are at 14 degrees right now. That is legitimately cold. But by Monday, you could be sitting at 55 to 60 degrees. From 14 to 60 in 3 days. That is a 46-degree temperature swing. Your body does not adjust to that quickly. Your home does not adjust to that quickly. If you have got older windows, you are going to hear them creaking and popping as the frames expand and contract. Let me swing over to the upper Midwest now because you folks are right in the transition zone between this bitter cold and the incoming warmth. Minneapolis and St. Paul, you are at 26 and 25 degrees respectively right now. Tomorrow stays cold, upper 20s for highs. But Sunday, watch this, you jump into the upper 30s. Then Monday and Tuesday, you could be pushing toward 55 to 60 degrees. Duluth, Minnesota, at 16 degrees, you have got the coldest air right now in the lower 48, aside from some spots in the Rockies. Your weekend stays chilly, no question. But by the middle of next week, even you are going to see temperatures moderating into the 40s. For Duluth, that is practically spring weather. Rochester, Minnesota, 27 degrees. Your pattern follows Minneapolis closely. Cold weekend, dramatic warm-up by Monday and Tuesday. La Crosse, Wisconsin at 25 degrees, same story. Green Bay, Wisconsin. At 15 degrees, you are one of the coldest spots in the entire country right now. Your Saturday high might only reach 22 degrees with that bitter wind. But hang in there, because by Tuesday, you could be in the low 50s. Now, let me address something that I know is on a lot of your minds, especially if you are in that 60-plus age group watching this. Heating costs. I have gotten so many comments and emails from folks saying their heating bills this winter have been brutal, and I get it. When you are on a fixed income and your furnace is running nonstop for days at a time, every degree matters. Here is my advice for this weekend specifically. If you live in the cold zone, the Northeast, the Great Lakes, set your thermostat to a consistent temperature and leave it there. I know it is tempting to turn it down when you go to bed to save money, but on nights this cold, making your furnace work harder to catch back up in the morning actually uses more energy. 68 to 70 degrees. Set it and forget it. Keep your curtains closed at night to insulate your windows. And if you have got rooms you are not using, close those vents and shut those doors. Heat the space you are living in. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you are at 23 degrees. Your Saturday is going to be brutal. High temperature only around 25 degrees, with wind chills staying below 10 degrees all day long. Sunday is not much better. But here is the good news. By Monday afternoon, you start to moderate. Tuesday and Wednesday, you could be in the mid-40s. That is still below normal, but it is going to feel like a heat wave compared to what you are dealing with right now. Chicago, Illinois, 30 degrees with light snow and overcast skies. You are right on that dividing line between the worst of the cold to your north and slightly milder air trying to push in from the south. Your Saturday high reaches around 32 degrees. Sunday, you might touch 35 degrees. Then Monday and Tuesday, you are looking at mid to upper 40s. Not warm, but certainly more manageable than what you have been dealing with. Detroit, Michigan, at 24 degrees, you are in the heart of this cold air mass. Your weekend is going to be tough. Saturday's high only around 26 degrees. Sunday maybe 28 degrees. The wind is going to be the killer though. Sustained winds of 15 to 25 miles per hour with gusts over 35 miles per hour. That is going to create wind chills in the single digits all day Saturday. And speaking of wind, let me talk about the danger that creates beyond just feeling cold. When you have got wind gusts over 30 miles per hour and fresh snow on the ground, you get blowing and drifting snow. That reduces visibility on highways from half a mile down to a quarter mile, sometimes down to 100 feet in a matter of seconds. That is how pileups happen on interstates. One car hits a drift, cannot see, slows down suddenly, car behind them cannot stop on the ice. Please, if you are driving this weekend anywhere in the Great Lakes or Northeast, slow down, way down. Cleveland, Ohio, 26 degrees with light snow and overcast conditions. You have still got over 8 inches of snow on the ground from earlier this week. Now you are going to add another inch or two tonight and tomorrow with this clipper system. Your Saturday high temperature struggles to reach 28 degrees. Wind chills in the single digits all day. Sunday is marginally better, maybe low 30s for a high, but that wind continues. Toledo, Ohio. At 23 degrees, you are one of the colder spots in Ohio right now. Your Saturday brings you to around 26 degrees for a high with light snow continuing through the morning. That wind is going to make it feel like it is 5 to 10 degrees all day long. Sunday, you might reach 30 degrees if you are lucky. Columbus, Ohio, 31 degrees with light snow and mostly cloudy skies. You are a little milder than your neighbors to the north, but not by much. Saturday high around 33 degrees. Sunday, mid-30s. The good news for you is that by Monday, you start to see temperatures climbing into the low 40s, and by Tuesday and Wednesday, you could be knocking on the door of 50 degrees. Now, before I move into the mid-Atlantic, I want to circle back to something I mentioned earlier. Around minute 18, I promised I would tell you which city is going to see the most dramatic temperature swing. Well, we are getting close to that. But first, I need to set up what is happening in the mid-Atlantic and southeast because it is part of the same story. Washington, D.C. You are at 30 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. Your Friday evening and overnight hours bring you down to around 24 degrees. Saturday's high temperature reaches only about 28 degrees with gusty winds making it feel like the mid-teens. Sunday is slightly better, low 30s. But here is what is interesting about your forecast. By Monday, you jump to 40 degrees. Tuesday, you could hit 50 degrees. Wednesday, you might touch 55 degrees. That is a 27-degree temperature jump from Saturday to Wednesday. Baltimore, Maryland, at 27 degrees with light snow and ice fog, you are dealing with some of the most miserable conditions in the country right now. That ice fog is just settling into the valleys, coating everything. Driving tonight is going to be treacherous. Your Saturday high only reaches about 27 degrees. Sunday, maybe 30 degrees. But like DC, your temperatures are going to surge early next week. Richmond, Virginia, 30 degrees with ice fog. You are sitting right on that boundary between the deep cold to the north and slightly milder air to the south. Saturday brings you to around 32 degrees. Sunday into the mid-30s. But Monday, you jump to the mid-40s, and by Tuesday and Wednesday, you could be in the mid to upper 50s. For early February in Virginia, that is pretty nice weather. Norfolk, Virginia, at 33 degrees with light snow and fog, you have got the ocean influence keeping you just a touch milder than areas inland. Your Saturday high reaches about 35 degrees, Sunday upper 30s. By the middle of next week, you are looking at temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. If you have been cooped up inside all winter, Wednesday afternoon might be a great day to get out for a walk. Raleigh, North Carolina, 43 degrees with overcast skies. You are in much better shape than your neighbors to the north. Your Saturday brings you to around 46 degrees, Sunday near 50 degrees. And here is the kicker. By Tuesday and Wednesday, you could be pushing toward the upper 60s. Raleigh, upper 60s in early February. That is warm enough for folks to start thinking about yard work and gardening. Charlotte, North Carolina, at 47 degrees with passing clouds, you are sitting pretty compared to most of the East Coast. Your weekend is cool but not cold. Saturday, low 50s, Sunday, mid-50s. Then next week, you are talking upper 60s to near 70 degrees by Wednesday. If you are a golf course, you are going to be packed. Now, let me drop down into the southeast because you folks have had a wild ride this winter. Atlanta, Georgia, 56 degrees and clear skies. You have got beautiful weather tonight. Your weekend stays nice. Saturday, mid-50s, Sunday, upper 50s. But next week is when things get interesting. Monday and Tuesday, you climb into the mid-60s. Wednesday, you could touch 70 degrees. Birmingham, Alabama, 61 degrees and clear. Your weekend is gorgeous if you like mild weather. 50s and 60s, Saturday and Sunday. Next week, you are talking about upper 60s to low 70s. That is the kind of weather that gets people out to the parks and the lakes. Now, I know I have been spending a lot of time in the cold zones, but I want to acknowledge something for those of you in the South and Southwest watching this. You have had your own challenges this winter. You have dealt with freezes when you normally do not get them. You have seen snow in places that see snow once a decade. Your infrastructure is not built for this kind of weather, and that makes it even harder when it happens. Jackson, Mississippi, 61 degrees and clear right now. Your weekend is mild and dry. Perfect weather, really. But I want you to keep an eye on the forecast for the second half of next week because there are some signals that we could see a storm system developing in the southern plains that might bring you some rain by Thursday or Friday. Memphis, Tennessee, at 54 degrees. You are in that transition zone. Your weekend is cool but not cold. Low to mid-50s, Saturday and Sunday. Next week, you warm up nicely into the 60s. You are not going to see the extremes that folks farther north are dealing with, but you will notice the pattern change. New Orleans, Louisiana, 59 degrees and clear. Your weekend is beautiful. Low 60s Saturday, mid-60s Sunday. Next week brings you into the upper 60s to near 70 degrees. Mardi Gras weather could not be much better if you have got celebrations coming up. Houston, Texas, 72 degrees and clear. You folks are already in the warm zone. Your weekend stays mild, low to mid-70s, Saturday and Sunday. Next week, you could be pushing toward the upper 70s to near 80 degrees by Wednesday. That is more like late April weather than early February. Dallas and Fort Worth, you are at 74 and 72 degrees respectively. Your weekend is gorgeous. Mid-70s Saturday, upper 70s Sunday. Next week, you could be flirting with 80 degrees. I have gotten comments from folks in Texas saying they have not even turned their heat on yet this winter, and I believe it. This has been an unusually mild winter for much of Texas. San Antonio, Texas, 73 degrees and clear. Your forecast mirrors Dallas. Beautiful weekend. Warm next week. You are going to be 30 degrees warmer than the Northeast. That is the same country, the same week, 30-degree difference. That is the story of this pattern. Austin, Texas, 69 degrees. Your weekend is fantastic. Low 70s Saturday, mid 70s Sunday. Next week, upper 70s to near 80 degrees. If you have been waiting to get outside and enjoy some outdoor activities, this is your week. Now, let me jump back to the Northeast for a moment because I want to make sure folks in the colder areas understand the timeline of when relief comes. If you are in Boston, right now you are at 26 degrees. You are going to struggle to get above 30 degrees for a high on Saturday. Sunday might bring you to 32 or 33 degrees. But Monday, you start to moderate. Upper 30s Monday, low to mid 40s Tuesday, upper 40s Wednesday. So you have got to get through the weekend, but relief is coming. Providence, Rhode Island, at 28 degrees. Your timeline is almost identical to Boston. Brutal Saturday, cold Sunday, improvement starts Monday. Hartford, Connecticut, 21 degrees, same pattern. The good news for all of you in southern New England is that this is not an extended cold outbreak. This is a 3-day shot of bitter cold. Then we transition. New York City, 30 degrees with overcast skies. Your Saturday high reaches only about 32 degrees with wind chills in the teens. Sunday, you might hit 35 degrees. But Monday and Tuesday, you are back in the low to mid 40s. Wednesday could bring you near 50 degrees. For folks in the city, that is the difference between absolutely miserable commuting weather and just typical February weather. Newark, New Jersey, at 29 degrees, your forecast tracks New York closely. Cold weekend, gradual improvement next week. The good news is that the snow you are getting tonight should be light. We are only talking an inch or two in most areas, nothing like what you dealt with last week. Now, before I go any further, I want to pause and ask you again. Have you left a comment yet telling me what city you are watching from? Because tomorrow morning, I am going through the comments and pulling out specific cities to give detailed updates for. And I have noticed over the years that the folks who engage early, who tell me what they need, those are the folks who get the most value out of these forecasts. So please, take 5 seconds, scroll down, type your city name. Help me help you. All right, let me keep moving west because we have got a lot of ground to cover. Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas, you are both at 44 and 43 degrees respectively. Your weekend is cool but dry. Saturday upper 40s, Sunday low 50s. Next week is when you really warm up. Monday you could hit 60 degrees. Tuesday and Wednesday, mid to upper 60s. That is spectacular for early February in Kansas City. Omaha, Nebraska, 41 degrees. Your weekend is chilly. Saturday low 40s, Sunday mid 40s. But watch what happens Monday and Tuesday. You could surge into the low 60s. That is a 20-degree temperature jump in 2 days. If you have got outdoor projects you have been putting off, Wednesday afternoon might be your window. Lincoln, Nebraska, 38 degrees. Your forecast is similar to Omaha. Cool weekend, rapid warm-up early next week. By Wednesday, you could be in the mid-60s. Now here is where I need to talk about something that has been nagging at me as I have been looking at these models. We have got this incredible surge of warm air building across the plains in the Midwest. At the same time, we have got bitter cold locked in across the Northeast. When these two air masses eventually clash, and they will clash, we could be looking at a significant storm system developing somewhere around the middle of next week. Now, I want to be very clear about this. The models are not in agreement yet about exactly where this happens or how strong it gets. But anytime you have this much temperature contrast over this short of a distance, the atmosphere tries to balance itself out. And when the atmosphere tries to balance itself out, it usually does so with storms. So, what does that mean for you? Well, if you live anywhere from the Rockies to the East Coast, you need to be paying attention to forecasts Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. This could develop into a rain event for the South. It could be a snow event for the upper Midwest. It could be a mixed bag of everything for areas in between. I do not know yet. The data is not there yet. But I am watching it, and you should be too. Des Moines, Iowa, you are at 36 degrees now. Your weekend is cool. Saturday, upper 30s. Sunday, low 40s. Monday is when things get interesting for you. You could jump to near 60 degrees. And this is the city I've been teasing, Des Moines. From a Saturday high of 38 degrees to a Monday high of potentially 68 degrees. That is a 30-degree temperature swing in 48 hours. That might be a record for Des Moines for this time of year. I have not been able to confirm it yet, but I am looking into it. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. At 31 degrees, your forecast is very similar. Cool weekend. Explosive warm-up Monday and Tuesday. By Tuesday afternoon, you could be in the mid-60s. Madison, Wisconsin, 26 degrees. You are in the cold zone this weekend. Saturday only reaches about 28 degrees. Sunday, maybe 30 degrees. But Monday, you jump to the low 40s. Tuesday, you could hit 50 degrees. That is a 22-degree temperature jump from Sunday to Tuesday. Now, let me swing out to the Rockies and the West because you folks are dealing with your own unique situation. Denver, Colorado, at 54 degrees with passing clouds, your weekend is beautiful. Mid-50s Saturday, upper 50s Sunday. Next week, you could be pushing toward the low 60s. For Denver in February, that is perfect weather. Colorado Springs, 48 degrees. Your forecast mirrors Denver. Gorgeous weekend, mild next week. If you have been waiting to get out and hike some of the trails, this might be your window before the next storm system moves in. Salt Lake City, Utah. At 46 degrees with partly cloudy skies, you have had an unusually snow-free winter. Your weekend stays mild. Upper 40s Saturday, low 50s Sunday. Next week, you climb into the mid-50s. The bad news for skiers is that you are not seeing much snow in this pattern. The good news for everyone else is that the weather is going to be nice. Boise, Idaho, 49 degrees and sunny. Your weekend is fantastic. Low 50s Saturday, mid-50s Sunday. Next week stays mild and dry. You folks in Idaho have had one of the mildest winters on record, and it is going to continue for at least another week. Now, I want to take a minute to talk about the Pacific Northwest because you have been so dry for so long, and that is finally about to change. Seattle, Washington, at 57 degrees and sunny right now, you have got beautiful weather tonight. But this weekend, things start to shift. Saturday brings you clouds and a chance of rain. Sunday, rain becomes likely. And next week, you could see multiple days of rain as a series of weather systems finally tap into some Pacific moisture. Portland, Oregon, at 52 degrees with passing clouds, your forecast is similar to Seattle. Dry tonight, rain moves in this weekend, and next week could be soggy. But here is the thing. You need this rain. The Pacific Northwest has been running a significant moisture deficit, and while nobody likes gray, rainy weather, it is necessary for your water supply. Spokane, Washington, 37 degrees with low clouds. Your weekend brings you a chance of rain and snow mix. Not a huge storm, but enough to give you some moisture. Next week, you could see additional systems moving through. Let me jump down to California because the story there is different. San Francisco, 61 degrees with scattered clouds. Your weekend is gorgeous. Low 60s Saturday, mid-60s Sunday. Next week stays mild and dry. Los Angeles, 66 degrees and sunny. Your weather is basically perfect. Mid to upper 60s all weekend. Same for next week. You folks in Southern California are living the dream right now while the rest of the country deals with temperature extremes. San Diego, 62 degrees with scattered clouds. You are even milder than LA. Your weekend is beautiful, your next week is beautiful, and honestly, you are going to have a hard time telling what season it is based on the weather alone. Sacramento, 69 degrees and sunny. Your Central Valley weather is fantastic. Upper 60s to low 70s all weekend and into next week. If you have got allergies, though, I will warn you that with this warm weather, trees are going to start budding early, and that means pollen counts are going to spike. Let me move down to the desert Southwest. Phoenix, Arizona, at 80 degrees with scattered clouds, you are already in the warmth. Your weekend brings you low 80s Saturday, mid 80s Sunday. Next week, you could be pushing toward the upper 80s. That is more like late April weather than early February. Tucson, Arizona, 71 degrees and sunny. Your forecast is similar to Phoenix, but a few degrees cooler. Upper 70s to low 80s all weekend and next week. Beautiful weather if you like it warm and dry. Las Vegas, Nevada, 72 degrees with partly sunny skies. Your weekend is perfect. Mid-70s Saturday and Sunday. Next week, you could hit upper 70s to near 80 degrees. If you have got outdoor plans or if you are visiting, you picked a great week. Albuquerque, New Mexico, 57 degrees with passing clouds. Your weekend is mild and dry. Upper 50s to low 60s, Saturday and Sunday. Next week brings you similar temperatures. You are not seeing the extremes that other parts of the country are dealing with. Now, I have been going for a while, and I know some of you are wondering about the southern tier of states. Let me hit those quickly because I do not want to miss anyone. Miami, Florida, 57 degrees and clear. You are cooler than normal for this time of year, but still very pleasant. Your weekend brings you low 60s Saturday, mid-60s Sunday. Next week, you warm back up into the upper 60s to low 70s. Tampa, Florida, 55 degrees and clear. Your forecast is similar to Miami. Cool weekend by Florida standards, warming up next week. Orlando, at 54 degrees, same story. Jacksonville at 56 degrees. You are right in line with the rest of Florida. Savannah, Georgia, 59 degrees and clear. Your weekend is mild, low 60s Saturday and Sunday. Next week brings you into the mid to upper 60s. Charleston, South Carolina. At 52 degrees, with passing clouds, you are a touch cooler but still pleasant. Weekend temps in the mid-50s. Next week in the low 60s. Now, let me address something that I know is on the minds of folks in the colder climates. You are looking at these forecasts for Texas and Florida and Arizona, and you are thinking, why do I live where the air hurts my face? And I get it. I really do. When it is 20 below zero with the wind chill in Minneapolis and it is 80 degrees in Phoenix, it is hard not to feel a little jealous. But here's what I will tell you. Every place has its challenges. Phoenix deals with 115-degree summers where you cannot leave your dog outside for 5 minutes without risking its life. Florida deals with hurricanes. Texas deals with ice storms that shut down their entire power grid. The Midwest and Northeast, you deal with winter. It is hard, it is expensive, it is uncomfortable, but you have infrastructure for it. You have experience with it. You know how to handle it. And honestly, there is something to be said for the seasons. I know that sounds crazy when it is this cold, but think about it. When you get that first warm day in March, when you can finally open your windows and smell that fresh air, you appreciate it in a way that people in San Diego never do because they have it all year round. The contrast makes the good times better. All right, let me start wrapping this up because we are getting close to that 25-minute mark, and I want to make sure I hit a few more important points. First, I want to talk about what this means for the rest of February. Right now, the models are suggesting that after this warm surge next week, we could see another pattern shift around the 15th or 16th of the month. There are some signals that the polar vortex could send another lobe of cold air south into North America. Now that is still 10 days away, so there is a lot of uncertainty. But if it happens, we could be looking at another significant cold outbreak for the third week of February. What does that mean for you? It means do not put away your winter gear just yet. Even if we get a nice warm spell next week, even if you are in Des Moines walking around in 60-degree weather on Tuesday, keep your heavy coat handy because we might need it again in another week or two. Second, I want to talk about the snow situation in the Northeast. You folks in Boston, New York, Philadelphia, you are sitting on a lot of snowpack right now. Some areas have over a foot still on the ground. This weekend's cold is actually going to preserve that snow. It is not going anywhere. But next week when we warm up, especially if we get any rain mixed in with that warm-up, you could see significant melting. That means potential for flooding in urban areas where storm drains are blocked by ice. It means potential for ice dams on roofs. If you have got a flat roof or a low-slope roof, please keep an eye on it next week. Third, for those of you in the warm zones, I need you to understand that this is not normal February weather. I know it feels great. I know you are loving it, but this is the kind of pattern that can cause problems down the road. Trees and plants use temperature as a cue for when to start budding and growing. If we trick them into thinking it is spring in February and then we get a hard freeze in March, We could lose a lot of fruit crops, a lot of ornamental plants, a lot of landscaping. If you are a gardener, if you are a farmer, do not be fooled by this warmth. We are still in winter. Frost dates have not changed just because we are having a warm week. Fourth, and this is important for everyone, stay flexible with your plans over the next 10 days. The weather is going to be changing rapidly. If you have got travel planned, if you have got outdoor events scheduled, keep checking the forecast. What looks good 3 days out might look very different when we get new model data. And finally, I want to remind you one more time, please drop a comment with your city name. I read every single comment. I cannot respond to all of them, but I read them. And tomorrow morning when I sit down to record the next video, I am going to pull up those comments and I am going to try to answer as many specific questions as I can. Now, let me hit a few more cities that I have not covered yet because I want to make sure I get as many of you as possible. Anchorage, Alaska, 32 degrees and sunny. Your weather is actually milder than much of the lower 48 right now, which is kind of ironic. Your weekend stays in the low to mid-30s. Next week brings you similar temperatures. Fairbanks, Alaska. At 7 degrees with partly sunny skies, you are cold but not record cold. Your weekend brings you similar temperatures. The sun is starting to come back after the long dark winter, and that always helps. Honolulu, Hawaii, 80 degrees with broken clouds. You folks are in paradise as always. Your weekend is perfect. Low 80s Saturday and Sunday. Next week stays the same. If anyone in Honolulu is watching this and complaining about their weather, I do not want to hear it. Let me hit some cities in the plains and Midwest that I might have missed. Wichita, Kansas at 47 degrees. You have got a nice mild evening. Your weekend brings you into the low 50s Saturday, mid-50s Sunday. Next week, you could touch the mid-60s. Topeka, Kansas, 43 degrees. Your forecast mirrors Wichita. Cool weekend, warm next week. Tulsa, Oklahoma, at 57 degrees, you are already mild. Your weekend stays in the upper 50s to low 60s. Next week brings you into the mid to upper 60s. Oklahoma City, 58 degrees and clear. Your weekend is beautiful. Low 60s Saturday and Sunday. Next week, you could be in the upper 60s to near 70 degrees. Springfield, Missouri. At 46 degrees, you have got cool but pleasant weather. Your weekend brings you into the low 50s Saturday and Sunday. Next week, you warm into the low 60s. Little Rock, Arkansas, 60 degrees and clear. Your weekend is mild. Low to mid-60s Saturday and Sunday. Next week, you could push towards 70 degrees. Let me jump to some cities in the Ohio Valley in the Mid-South. Cincinnati, Ohio, at 36 degrees with overcast skies, you are on the cool side tonight. Your Saturday brings you to around 38 degrees, Sunday low 40s. Next week, you warm into the upper 40s to low 50s. You know, I got an email last week from a woman in Cincinnati, must have been in her 70s, and she told me that this winter reminded her of the winter of '78. She said back then, they had snow on the ground from Thanksgiving all the way through to March. She said her heating bill that year was more than her mortgage payment. Now, I do not know if we are headed for that kind of winter, but I understand why she is worried. When you are on a fixed income and you are watching your savings dwindle every time the furnace kicks on, every cold snap feels like a crisis. Louisville, Kentucky, 36 degrees with overcast skies. Your forecast is similar to Cincinnati. Cold weekend, gradual warming next week. Lexington, Kentucky at 34 degrees, same pattern. And I want to say something to folks in Kentucky specifically because I know horse country takes these temperature swings seriously. When you have got livestock, when you have got animals that depend on you, cold weather is not just an inconvenience. It is a responsibility. Make sure your water troughs are not freezing. Make sure your barns are sealed up against the wind. Make sure your animals have shelter. Nashville, Tennessee, 43 degrees with passing clouds. Your weekend is cool but not cold. Upper 40s Saturday, low 50s Sunday. Next week brings you into the upper 50s to low 60s. Nashville, you have been through quite a bit this winter. That ice storm in early January knocked out power for thousands of folks. You know better than most how quickly weather can turn from inconvenient to dangerous. This weekend is not going to be that bad for you, but stay alert. Knoxville, Tennessee. At 45 degrees with passing clouds, you are in better shape than areas to your north. Weekend temps in the upper 40s to low 50s. Next week, you could hit the low to mid 60s. The Great Smoky Mountains are going to be gorgeous next week if you have been thinking about a drive up there. Just watch for ice on the mountain roads this weekend. Chattanooga, Tennessee. At 52 degrees with passing clouds, you are sitting pretty. Your weekend stays mild. Low to mid 50s both days. Next week, you warm into the low 60s. If you have been cooped up inside, this might be a good week to get out and walk the Riverwalk. Now let me swing back north and hit some cities I know I have missed. Grand Rapids, Michigan. At 18 degrees with passing clouds, you are in the deep freeze. Your Saturday brings you to around 22 degrees for a high with wind chills staying below 10 degrees all day. Sunday, maybe you touch 25 degrees. Monday, you start to moderate into the low 30s. Tuesday and Wednesday, you could be in the low 40s. Lansing, Michigan. 17 degrees with passing clouds. Your forecast mirrors Grand Rapids. Brutal cold this weekend. Slow improvement next week. Ann Arbor, at 20 degrees, same story. And I know a lot of University of Michigan folks watch this channel, so I will say this. If you have got classes on Saturday morning, bundle up. Wind chills on campus are going to be brutal. Flint, Michigan, at 17 degrees. You are tied with Lansing for one of the colder spots in Michigan right now. Your weekend is rough. Highs only in the low 20s both days. But by Tuesday and Wednesday, you are back in the 40s. Let me hit some cities up in the Northeast that I have not covered yet. Burlington, Vermont. 25 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Your Saturday brings you to around 28 degrees. Sunday, maybe 30 degrees. The wind is going to be the issue. Sustained winds of 20 to 25 miles per hour with gusts over 40 miles per hour. Lake Champlain is going to be whitecapping. Montpelier, Vermont. At 21 degrees with overcast skies, you are colder than Burlington. Your Saturday high struggles to reach 25 degrees. Sunday, maybe 27 degrees. But here is what I want you to know. This cold is going to break. By Wednesday, you could be in the low 40s. That is still below normal, but it is going to feel like a heat wave. Concord, New Hampshire, 19 degrees with overcast skies. You are one of the colder spots in New England right now. Your Saturday brings you to around 23 degrees. Sunday, maybe 26 degrees. The good news is that you are not looking at significant snow. The bad news is that what you do get is going to blow around and create visibility problems. Portland, Maine. I mentioned you earlier at 19 degrees, but let me give you more detail. Your coastal location usually keeps you a bit milder than inland areas, but not this weekend. The wind off the ocean is going to be brutal. Sustained winds of 25 to 30 miles per hour with gusts over 50 miles per hour. That is going to create dangerous conditions for anyone trying to work on the water. If you are a lobsterman, if you are in the fishing industry, please think twice before heading out this weekend. Bangor, Maine. At 2 degrees. You are one of the coldest cities in the entire lower 48 right now. 2 degrees. Your Saturday high might only reach 12 degrees. Sunday, maybe 15 degrees. And with the wind, it is going to feel like it is 20 below zero. If you have got outdoor pipes, if you have got any plumbing that is not well insulated, now is the time to let your faucets drip. Presque Isle, Maine. At 1 degree, you are even colder than Bangor. 1 degree. That is the kind of cold that makes your nostrils freeze when you breathe in. Your Saturday high reaches maybe 10 degrees. Sunday, maybe 12 degrees. Folks in Aroostook County, you know how to handle this. You have been doing it your whole lives. But do not get complacent. This is dangerous cold. Now let me swing down to some cities in the mid-Atlantic that I have not hit yet. Allentown, Pennsylvania, at 25 degrees with light snow and overcast skies, you are getting some of that clipper snow right now. That is going to continue through the evening, maybe adding another inch or two. Your Saturday high reaches about 27 degrees. Sunday, maybe 30 degrees. The Lehigh Valley is going to be locked in cold all weekend. Scranton, Pennsylvania, at 23 degrees with ice fog, you have got some of the most miserable conditions in the state right now. That ice fog is going to persist through the overnight hours. Your Saturday high only reaches about 25 degrees. Sunday, maybe 28 degrees. If you have got to drive on Interstate 81 this weekend, please be careful. Ice on the overpasses is going to be a major issue. Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. At 23 degrees with ice fog, your forecast is identical to Scranton. You are in the same weather pattern, same cold air, same miserable conditions. Next week brings you relief. But this weekend is going to test your patience. York, Pennsylvania. At 25 degrees with overcast skies, you are in that transition zone between the deep cold to your north and slightly milder air to your south. Your Saturday high reaches about 28 degrees. Sunday, low 30s. By the middle of next week, you could be in the low 50s. Let me talk about some cities in upstate New York that deal with lake effect snow. Watertown, New York. You are not in my current conditions list, but I know you are dealing with lake effect snow right now off Lake Ontario. Your forecast for this weekend is brutal. Temperatures in the teens and low 20s, wind chills below zero, and the potential for several more inches of snow. If you are downwind of Lake Ontario, Saturday could bring you whiteout conditions at times. Oswego, New York, same situation. Lake effect snow is going to continue off and on through the weekend. You could pick up another 6 to 12 inches in the heaviest bands. That is on top of the several feet you already have on the ground. Roof collapses are a real concern when you start stacking this much snow. Let me jump down to some cities in West Virginia. Charleston, West Virginia. At 30 degrees with light snow and ice fog, you are dealing with tough conditions tonight. Your Saturday brings you to around 33 degrees. Sunday, mid-30s. The mountainous terrain in West Virginia makes winter weather particularly challenging. What might be just cold rain in the valleys could be ice or snow at elevation. Morgantown, West Virginia. At 28 degrees with light snow and overcast skies, you are colder than Charleston. Your Saturday high reaches about 30 degrees. Sunday, maybe 33 degrees. West Virginia University students, if you are watching this, stay off the roads this weekend unless absolutely necessary. Huntington, West Virginia. At 33 degrees with mostly cloudy skies, you are the mildest of the West Virginia cities I am tracking. Your weekend brings you into the mid to upper 30s. Next week, you warm into the mid-40s. Now let me talk about some cities in the Carolinas that I have not covered in detail yet. Greensboro, North Carolina. At 39 degrees with overcast skies, your weekend is cool but manageable. Low to mid-40s Saturday and Sunday. Next week, you warm into the low 60s. You are not dealing with the extremes that folks farther north are seeing. Durham, North Carolina. At 43 degrees with overcast skies, you are a touch milder than Greensboro. Your weekend stays in the mid-40s. Next week could bring you into the mid-60s. If you have got spring cleaning you have been putting off, Wednesday might be a good day for it. Winston-Salem, North Carolina. At 41 degrees with passing clouds, you are right in the middle. Weekend temps in the low to mid-40s. Next week, low to mid-60s. The Piedmont region of North Carolina is going to see a nice warm-up next week. Asheville, North Carolina. At 42 degrees with mostly cloudy skies, your elevation keeps you a bit cooler than the lower elevations. Your weekend stays in the low to mid-40s. Next week brings you into the upper 50s. The Blue Ridge Parkway is still closed in sections due to ice and snow from earlier storms. So if you are thinking about a scenic drive, check conditions first. Greenville, South Carolina. At 54 degrees and clear, you have got nice weather tonight. Your weekend stays mild. Mid-50s, Saturday and Sunday. Next week, you warm into the mid-60s. Upstate South Carolina is going to have beautiful weather next week. Columbia, South Carolina. At 52 degrees and clear, you are the state capital and you are sitting pretty weather-wise. Your weekend stays in the low to mid-50s. Next week, you could hit the upper 60s. If you have got outdoor plans, next week looks great. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. At 43 degrees and clear, you are on the coast and a bit cooler tonight. Your weekend stays in the mid to upper 40s. Next week, you warm into the low 60s. The beach might not be warm enough for swimming, but it will be nice for walking. Now let me jump down to Georgia and hit some cities beyond Atlanta. Savannah, I mentioned you earlier at 59 degrees, but let me add this. Your historic district is going to be gorgeous next week with temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. If you have been thinking about walking the squares or visiting Forsyth Park, Tuesday or Wednesday would be perfect days for it. Augusta, Georgia, at 56 degrees and clear, you are right on the border with South Carolina. Your weekend stays in the mid-50s. Next week warms you into the mid to upper 60s. The Masters is still a couple months away, but the grounds at Augusta National are going to start greening up with this warm weather. Macon, Georgia, at 55 degrees and clear, you are in central Georgia and you have got mild weather. Weekend temps in the mid to upper 50s. Next week, you could hit the upper 60s to near 70 degrees. Cherry blossom season is going to come early this year if this warm pattern continues. Columbus, Georgia, at 56 degrees and clear, you are on the western side of the state near the Alabama border. Your forecast mirrors the rest of Georgia. Mild weekend, warm next week. If you are at Fort Benning, outdoor training next week is going to be much more pleasant than this week. Now let me swing over to Alabama and hit some cities beyond Birmingham. Mobile, Alabama. At 60 degrees and clear, you are on the Gulf Coast and you have got beautiful weather tonight. Your weekend stays in the low 60s. Next week, you could hit the upper 60s to low 70s. The Port of Mobile is going to be busy next week with this nice weather. Montgomery, Alabama. At 53 degrees and clear, you are in the heart of Alabama. Your weekend brings you into the mid-50s. Next week, you warm into the mid to upper 60s. If you have been wanting to visit the Civil Rights Memorial or walk around the Capitol grounds, next week would be a great time. Huntsville, Alabama, at 52 degrees and clear, you are in northern Alabama where it is a bit cooler. Your weekend stays in the low to mid-50s. Next week, you warm into the low 60s. The Tennessee Valley is going to see some nice weather next week. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, at 62 degrees and clear, you are one of the warmer cities in Alabama tonight. Your weekend stays in the low to mid-60s. Next week, you could hit 70 degrees. University of Alabama students, enjoy this weather because February in Alabama does not always treat you this well. Now let me jump over to Mississippi and Louisiana. Biloxi, Mississippi, at 63 degrees and clear, you are on the Gulf Coast and you have got fantastic weather. Your weekend stays in the low to mid-60s. Next week you could hit the low 70s. The beaches and casinos are going to be packed with this weather. Gulfport, Mississippi, at 63 degrees and clear, your forecast is identical to Biloxi. Beautiful weekend, warm next week. The Mississippi Gulf Coast is one of the nicest places in the country to be next week weather-wise. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 63 degrees and clear, you are in the capital and you have got mild weather. Your weekend stays in the low to mid-60s. Next week, you warm into the upper 60s to low 70s. LSU students, if you have been cooped up studying, next week would be a great time to get outside. All right, I am going to start bringing this home because I know I have been going for a while and your attention span has limits. Let me give you the big picture one more time. But before I do that, I want to share something with you. I have been doing weather forecasts for over 20 years now. I have seen a lot of patterns, a lot of storms, a lot of extremes, and I have learned that the weather affects different people in different ways. If you are young and healthy and you have got a reliable car and a warm house and money in the bank, a cold snap like this is just an inconvenience. Maybe you have to scrape your windshield an extra time. Maybe your heating bill goes up $50. But if you are older, if you are on a fixed income, if you have got health issues, if your car is 20 years old and does not always start, if your furnace is original to your house from 1972, then weather like this is not just an inconvenience. It is a threat. It is scary. And I get that. I really do. I got a call from my own mother last night. She is 78 years old, lives by herself in a little house in Pennsylvania. She told me she was worried about her heating bill. She said she had turned the thermostat down to 62 degrees to try to save money, and she was sitting there in her living room wearing 2 sweaters and a blanket. I told her, "Mom, please turn the heat back up. I will help you with the bill if I need to, but you cannot sit there freezing. Your health is more important than saving $30 on the electric bill." And I know a lot of you watching this are in the same situation. Maybe you are making the same calculations my mother was making. How low can I keep the thermostat and still survive? How many layers can I wear before I give up and turn the heat up? Should I heat the whole house or just camp out in one room? So let me give you some practical advice that might help. First, if you have got a 2-story house, heat the upstairs less than the downstairs. Heat rises, so that upstairs is going to stay warmer naturally. Second, close off rooms you are not using. There is no point heating a guest bedroom that nobody sleeps in. Close the door, close the vent, let that room get cold. Third, use your oven if you are baking. After you are done cooking, open the oven door and let that heat warm your kitchen. Just make sure you turn the oven off first. Fourth, and this is important, keep your thermostat at one consistent temperature. I know it is tempting to turn it way down at night and way up in the morning, but that actually uses more energy because your furnace has to work harder to catch up. Set it at 68 or 69 degrees and leave it there. Your furnace will run more efficiently. Fifth, if you have got south-facing windows, open the curtains during the day and let the sun in. Free heat. Then close the curtains at night to insulate against the cold. And sixth, if you are really struggling, if you honestly cannot afford to heat your home, please reach out for help. Most states have programs to help low-income folks with their heating bills. Call your local office on aging. Call your electric company. Call your church if you go to church. Do not sit there freezing because you are too proud to ask for help. Now let me get back to the weather because I have got more cities to cover. Lafayette, Louisiana, at 61 degrees and clear, you are in Cajun country and you have got mild weather. Your weekend stays in the low 60s. Next week, you warm into the mid to upper 60s. If you have got Mardi Gras celebrations planned, the weather is going to cooperate. Lake Charles, Louisiana, at 68 degrees, you are one of the warmer cities in Louisiana right now. Your weekend stays mild. Upper 60s Saturday and Sunday. Next week, you could hit the low 70s. You are sitting right on that Gulf moisture, so you always tend to run a bit warmer than areas inland. Shreveport, Louisiana. At 68 degrees and clear, you are in the northwest corner of the state. Your weekend stays in the mid to upper 60s. Next week, you could hit the low to mid 70s. You are not too far from Texas, and you are getting some of that Texas warmth. Now let me jump over to Arkansas. Little Rock, I mentioned you earlier at 60 degrees, but let me add some cities around the state. Fayetteville, Arkansas, at 55 degrees and clear, you are in the Ozarks where it is a bit cooler. Your weekend stays in the mid-50s. Next week, you warm into the low 60s. The University of Arkansas campus is going to be nice next week. Fort Smith, Arkansas, at 64 degrees and clear. You are on the Oklahoma border and you have got mild weather. Your weekend stays in the low to mid-60s. Next week, you could hit the upper 60s. The Arkansas River is going to be pretty with this nice weather. Now let me swing over to Oklahoma. Oklahoma City, I mentioned you at 58 degrees, but let me hit some other cities. Tulsa, at 57 degrees, you are in northeastern Oklahoma. Your weekend stays in the upper 50s to low 60s. Next week, you warm into the mid to upper 60s. If you have been wanting to walk the Arkansas River trails, next week would be perfect. Norman, Oklahoma, you are just south of Oklahoma City at similar temperatures. If you are at the University of Oklahoma, next week is going to be great for getting out and enjoying campus. Now let me jump up to Kansas. Wichita, I covered you at 47 degrees, but let me hit some other Kansas cities. Topeka, at 43 degrees, you are the capital and you have got cool weather tonight. Your weekend brings you into the low 50s. Next week, you warm into the mid-60s. Manhattan, Kansas, you are home to Kansas State University. Your forecast tracks with Topeka. Cool weekend, nice warm-up next week. If you have got outdoor plans, Wednesday would be a great day. Lawrence, Kansas. At 36 degrees, you are cooler than the rest of Kansas tonight. Your weekend brings you into the mid-40s. Next week, you warm into the low 60s. KU students, bundle up this weekend, but enjoy next week. Now let me jump up to Nebraska. Lincoln, at 38 degrees, you are the state capital. Your weekend is chilly. Low 40s Saturday and Sunday. But Monday and Tuesday, watch this. You could jump to 60 degrees. That is one of the biggest warm-ups in the entire country. Omaha, I covered you at 41 degrees. But let me add this. Your metro area is going to see some of the most dramatic temperature changes of anywhere in the nation next week. From 40s this weekend to 60s next week. That is the kind of change that makes you rethink your entire wardrobe. Now, let me hit some cities in the mountain states. Cheyenne, Wyoming. At 48 degrees and clear, you have got nice weather for February. Your weekend stays in the upper 40s to low 50s. Next week, you could hit the mid-50s. For Cheyenne in February, that is fantastic. Casper, Wyoming. At 48 degrees and clear, your forecast mirrors Cheyenne. Mild weekend, nice next week. If you have been cooped up all winter, next week is your chance to get out. Billings, Montana. I covered you at 54 degrees. But let me emphasize this again. You are going to be one of the warmest cities in the entire northern tier next week. 70s in Montana in February. That is remarkable. Butte, Montana. At 54 degrees and clear, you are at higher elevation but still mild. Your weekend stays in the low to mid-50s. Next week, you could hit the mid-60s. For Butte, that is summer weather. Missoula, Montana. At 45 degrees and clear. You are in western Montana, where it is a bit cooler. Your weekend stays in the mid to upper 40s. Next week, you warm into the upper 50s to low 60s. Now let me hit some cities in Idaho beyond Boise. Idaho Falls. At 51 degrees and sunny, you have got beautiful weather tonight. Your weekend stays in the low 50s. Next week, you warm into the mid-50s. The Snake River Plain is going to be gorgeous next week. Pocatello, Idaho. At 50 degrees and sunny, your forecast is similar to Idaho Falls. Nice weekend, mild next week. If you have been thinking about checking out Craters of the Moon National Monument, next week might be a good time. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. At 36 degrees with low clouds, you are in the panhandle where it is cooler. Your weekend brings you into the low 40s. Next week, you warm into the upper 40s. Lake Coeur d'Alene is still partially frozen, but that ice is going to start melting with this warmth. Now let me jump over to Nevada. Reno, at 54 degrees with partly sunny skies, you are in the high desert and you have got nice weather. Your weekend stays in the mid-50s. Next week, you warm into the low 60s. The skiing at Tahoe might suffer a bit with this warmth, but the weather in Reno will be fantastic. Las Vegas, I covered you at 72 degrees. But let me add this. Your tourism industry is going to love next week. Mid to upper 70s, sunny skies, no precipitation. Perfect weather for walking the Strip or hiking at Red Rock Canyon. Now let me hit some cities in Utah beyond Salt Lake City. Provo, Utah. At 52 degrees with passing clouds, you are just south of Salt Lake. Your weekend stays in the low 50s. Next week, you warm into the mid-50s. Brigham Young University students, next week is going to be nice. Street George, Utah. At 67 degrees and sunny, you are in the southwestern corner of the state where it is much warmer. Your weekend stays in the upper 60s. Next week, you could hit the mid-70s. If you are retired and you winter in Street, George, you picked a great week. Now let me jump over to Arizona beyond Phoenix and Tucson. Flagstaff, Arizona, at 49 degrees and sunny, you are at 7,000 feet elevation, so you are much cooler than the desert. Your weekend stays in the upper 40s to low 50s. Next week, you warm into the mid-50s. The Coconino National Forest is going to be beautiful. Sedona, Arizona. At 61 degrees and sunny, you are in Red Rock country and you have got gorgeous weather. Your weekend stays in the low 60s. Next week, you could hit the upper 60s. If you have been thinking about hiking Cathedral Rock or Bell Rock, next week would be perfect. Yuma, Arizona at 75 degrees and sunny, you are in the southwestern corner of the state right on the California and Mexico borders. Your weekend stays in the mid to upper 70s. Next week, you could push toward 80 degrees. For snowbirds wintering in Yuma, this is exactly the weather you came for. Now let me hit some cities in New Mexico beyond Albuquerque. Santa Fe, at 52 degrees and clear, you are at 7,000 feet in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. Your weekend stays in the low to mid-50s. Next week, you warm into the mid to upper 50s. The Santa Fe Plaza is going to be lovely next week. Las Cruces, New Mexico. At 58 degrees and clear, you are in the southern part of the state near the Texas border. Your weekend stays in the upper 50s to low 60s. Next week, you could hit the mid to upper 60s. The Oregon mountains are going to be stunning. Roswell, New Mexico, at 60 degrees and clear. You are in the southeastern part of the state. Your weekend stays in the low 60s. Next week, you warm into the mid to upper 60s. If you have got alien enthusiasts visiting the UFO museum, they are going to have nice weather. Now let me jump to some cities in Colorado beyond Denver. Boulder, Colorado, at 57 degrees with passing clouds. You are just north of Denver at the base of the Rockies. Your weekend stays in the mid to upper 50s. Next week, you could hit the low 60s. The Flatirons are going to be gorgeous for hiking. Fort Collins, Colorado, at 57 degrees and clear, you are even farther north. Your weekend stays in the mid to upper 50s. Next week, you warm into the low 60s. Colorado State University students, get out and enjoy the nice weather next week. Colorado Springs. I covered you at 48 degrees, but let me add that Pikes Peak is going to have some beautiful views next week if the clouds cooperate. This weekend, if you live anywhere from the Rockies eastward to the Atlantic coast, you are dealing with one of two extremes. Either you are in the bitter cold zone with temperatures 20 to 30 degrees below normal, dangerous wind chills, and the potential for light snow and blowing snow. Or you are in the mild zone with temperatures 5 to 15 degrees above normal and generally quiet weather. Next week, that pattern flips. The cold air retreats back into Canada. The warm air surges eastward. By Tuesday and Wednesday, we could see record warmth from the Rockies all the way to the Mississippi River. Temperatures 20 to 30 degrees above normal. 60s and 70s in places that normally struggle to get above 40 degrees this time of year. But that sets up a potential clash for late next week. When you have that much temperature contrast, when you have warm air trying to push east and remnants of cold air holding on in the northeast, you often get storms. I do not know yet where or when or how strong, but it is something to watch. Beyond that, late February is still uncertain. There are signals for another cold outbreak, but those signals could change. The models are not reliable beyond 7 to 10 days, and anyone who tells you they know for certain what the weather will be on February 20th is not being honest with you. So here is what I need you to do. Check back tomorrow for an update. Check back Monday for another update. This pattern is evolving rapidly, and the information I give you today might be outdated by tomorrow. That is not because I am wrong. It is because the atmosphere is dynamic and it changes. If you have got elderly neighbors, check on them this weekend if you are in the cold zones. Make sure they have heat. Make sure they have food. Make sure they are okay. Cold like this is not just uncomfortable. It can be dangerous, especially for folks who are older or who have health conditions. If you are driving anywhere this weekend in the Northeast or the Great Lakes, please slow down. Black ice does not care how good of a driver you think you are. Give yourself extra time. Leave extra space between you and the car in front of you. And if visibility drops because of blowing snow, pull over and wait it out. No appointment is worth your life. If you are in the warm zones, enjoy it. Get outside. Soak up some sunshine. Take a walk. Work in your yard. But do not forget that this is still winter, and winter can come roaring back. I want to end by saying thank you for watching. I know you have got a lot of options for weather information. You could watch the local news. You could check an app on your phone. You could look at 100 different websites. The fact that you chose to spend 25 minutes with me today means a lot. I do not take that for granted. If you found this forecast helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss tomorrow's update. I will be posting around the same time tomorrow evening with the latest model data and any changes to the forecast. And one more time, please drop a comment with your city name. Tell me what you are seeing outside your window right now. Tell me what questions you have. Tell me what you are worried about. I want to make tomorrow's video as useful as possible for you, and I can only do that if you tell me what you need. All right, that is going to do it for today's forecast. Stay warm if you are in the cold zones. Stay safe if you are driving, and I will see you back here tomorrow evening for another update. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon.